All right, this next bill, we have a number of people registered to testify, and we're delighted to hear from you tonight. I will, before I lay it out, just remind you of the previous encouragement that if it is we want you to testify and tell us everything you wish to tell us. To the extent that you can be expeditious, you will be blessed thoroughly for doing that. If you have heard someone else testifying and they've said exactly what you were going to say, don't feel compelled to come and repeat it. You may, but if you like, just stand up and say that you don't wish to testify, and we'll just show you for or against the HJR as you may have requested. With that said, the chair lays out HJR 146 and recognizes Representative Pena to explain his bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Committee members, I know it's late and everybody's tired, but Mr. Chairman, committee members.
Do we have a committee sub? I'm sorry. Let me do this.
Okay.
The chair offers up committee substitute for HJR 146. Chair lays out the committee substitute for HJR 146. Why don't you proceed?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, committee members, I want to thank you all for staying up so late with me and allowing me to lay out committee substitute to House Joint Resolution 146. We see that every once in a while we hear a miracle story of a candidate such as myself who runs a campaign with little to no money and wins. But unfortunately, the only reason these campaigns make headlines are because they are the exception to the rule. This resolution will help restore the vision of our founding fathers that the people decide elections. Members, the substitute simply updates language in the original resolution to alleviate some concerns that this would call for a runaway convention under Article 5. To emphasize, this resolution does not try to dictate a permanent solution, but rather to start a discussion that will generate a real, lasting solution, an amendment to the United States Constitution. I have several witnesses that may be able to give you further insight on the resolution, and I believe their testimony will hopefully be under 3 minutes. And with that, I would like to reserve the right to close.
Certainly. Doc, you have any questions? Thank you. We sure will start calling these witnesses up.
Thank you.
And again, as you, let me tell you, as you go to testify, when you do, if each person will need to come up and for the record, tell us who you are and who you represent. If you're representing yourself, that's just yourself. If you're representing an organization, of course, the organization, or it can be both, of course. And then tell us whether you're testifying for or against the resolution. And I'll give you a little heads up, I'll be calling Mr. Boyle, then Mr. Richards, or Ms. Richards, and then Mr. Malone. So beginning, Stuart Boyle. Thank you for being here so late tonight.
You're welcome, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Stuart Boyle. I am representing myself, and I am in favor of HJR 146. I'm a chartered financial analyst and have 25 years experience in banking, including 10 years as a bank regulator and most recently working for a multinational bank in their problem asset division, cleaning up the mess from the 2008 financial meltdown. I came to the issue of fixing the problem of political money corruption from that experience. There is no better example of how this broken system works against our national interests than the way the federal government dealt with the bank bailouts and the resulting Dodd-Frank legislation. Washington caved to Wall Street funders by first bailing them out and then failing to address the real problem, which is the systemic risk they pose to the global economy. Mr. Chairman and committee members, Adam Smith, the father of our modern economic system, published in 1776, The Wealth of Nations. An overly simplified summary says it's about the virtues of selfishness, the invisible hand, the idea that people acting in their own self-interest can create wonderful things. But Smith wasn't an economist. He was a moral philosopher. The wealth of nations is an important moral authorization for the honest pursuit of profit. However, sometimes it seems the word honest is forgotten in today's economy. I believe in the power of free markets, yet all too often the market is not picking winners and losers. Instead, it's the federal government through policies made in the interest of the crony capitalists who finance their elections. Instead of investing in their businesses, innovating, creating jobs, and growing the economy, they invest in politicians who rig the system in their favor. These very same crony capitalists profess the wonders of the free market economy on one hand, while corrupting it in the other, stifling competition in the marketplace and giving the American people less economic freedom as consumers. Nowhere does this hit closer to home than what happened in the wake of the financial meltdown to our hometown banks. I spent a lot of time in community banks in towns such as Jacksonville, Henderson, and Nacogdoches when I was a bank examiner. So I know personally what these banks mean to the communities they serve. This is the very essence of what Adam Smith described, that people acting in their own self-interest can do wonderful things. Instead of stabilizing these vital cornerstones of local economies, our corrupt political money system gave us draconian consumer legislation. The result of this is that the big banks are even bigger, and our local banks are forced to close their doors. This is not just economic theory. These are people's lives. You have the power to stand up for our hometown banks who fund our entrepreneurs and small businesses that are the real innovators of our Texas and American economies. So this is why you should vote in favor of HJR 146. Thank you.
Members, any questions for Mr. Boyle? Thank you, and thanks for meeting yesterday. I appreciate you coming by the office. Chair calls Daryl Malone. Mr. Malone, if you would, just state your name for the record and tell us who you represent, and if you're testifying for or against the resolution.
Yes, my name is Daryl Malone, and I'm testifying for the resolution. One of the key things about America is that it is a democracy, and that does mean...
Are you representing yourself tonight?
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm representing myself.
Right. And the reason we have to ask these questions is we all know what's going on in here, but this is archived, and then there's a record report, and we just need to... Excuse me. Go ahead.
Now, as I said, America is billed as a democracy, and part of that is that one person has one vote. It is not supposed to be a system of dollars providing those votes in lieu of people. The current structure that we have now undermines what we really should have as a democracy. As a lot of people who understand history will tell you, one of the key things that caused America to be founded and to separate from the kings that we had in the past was the idea that you should not have taxation without representation. Now, studies have shown that the actual opinions of the American public in the current system do not have any discernible effect on the policies that are passed. This undermines the legitimacy of the American system to its core, and it undermines that principle that you should not have taxation without representation. If we cannot show that the people are being represented, how can we confidently ask them to support their government? So again, I would ask all of you, do you want to consider yourselves to live in a democracy? And that, I hope that would guide your vote.
Mr. Chairman. Daryl?
Yes.
How old are you, brother?
27.
You go to school?
No, I do not.
And so are y'all in one big group of young brothers, young activists? Is that what I'm seeing out there? Is that what I'm saying?
I am actually somewhat of a member of the group. I found out about the effort that was going on, and this is actually something that I've felt strongly about for a long time. The idea of getting rid of corruption in politics and the idea of having an actual representation within the government. So I did, once I saw that this bill was being passed, I took it upon myself to get in touch with them so that I could join the effort that they were making.
Good job, brother. Proud of you. Keep the faith, keep the fight.
Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Brown. Excuse me, Darrell, same thing, that's fine. I also very much appreciate the fact that you took the time and energy to come out here this evening and set this length of time to express your opinion. We very much appreciate your opinion. It's valued, and I agree with you on that, and looking forward to good things from folks such as yourself that stays engaged in the process, so we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, the chair calls Miss Joanne Richards. You still here? Okay. And we will list Joanne as she for or against? For the bill, but not willing to testify. At this time, the chair calls Mr. Timothy Potts.
I'd like to yield my testimony to others who are eloquent.
Yeah, come to the mic, brother.
Yeah, just have to come up front here. Yes, Timothy, just come up front on the mic and say that. And
Once you've spoken, you got to identify yourself.
Hi, I'm Timothy Potts. I'm representing myself, and I am for HJR 146, and I'd like to yield my testimony in respect of your time this evening.
great, thank you. Yes, Representative Wally.
I really like that shirt.
Thanks. I just got it. Yeah. Appreciate it.
Go Cougs.
Go Cougs.
Thank you, Mr. Potts. Todd Jagger. At this time, the chair calls Mr. Todd Jagger. Good to see you again, Todd, and if you would please state your name and who you represent, and if you're for or against.
Yes, my name is Todd Jagger, and I'm here for HJR 146, and I'm representing myself and Wolf-Pac, Texas. Thank you, Chairman, and for the members for the opportunity to be here today. As I said, I'm representing myself as a husband, a father, and a grandfather, and I'm also the state director for Wolf-Pac, Texas, which is a citizen-funded, cross-partisan organization currently working with volunteers in 40 states to pass resolutions on the state level calling for amendments convention to restore free and fair elections. We currently have 20 live resolutions in 2015 and have already passed in 4 states. Most recently, we passed in the New Hampshire House and just last week in the Missouri Senate, both with overwhelming cross-partisan support, showing clearly that this is not a Democratic or Republican issue. This is an American issue. And Representative Pena is a true patriot for introducing HJR 146. I am an unpaid volunteer. I do this because, like 90% of Americans, I believe the system of political money corruption is the problem that we must fix first. We must encode free and fair elections into our Constitution to restore our representative government and preserve our republic for future generations. You know, a lot of people say that we lose good people to politics because they're not willing to become professional telemarketers, and that's true. But you know what? I also see us electing good people and sending them to Washington and throwing them into a corrupt system that forces them to either court favor with or be afraid of the powerful special interest groups and dark money groups that are either going to spend money for them or against them in the next election cycle. Why would we do that to them? So here's the one thing that I want you to remember about HJR 146. It does not dictate a predetermined solution to this problem. It gives us the ability to find that solution. HJR 146 simply says that Texas sees the need for a national conversation somewhere other than Congress on how we can make our electoral process work better for the average citizen. Now, I know you've heard a lot about Article 5 in this committee, and I'm not going to cover that ground again unless you want me to. But, you know, there are some groups that oppose this process, and I know they love their country too. But I trust our Constitution. I trust the American people. And I also trust the United States Department of Justice, the Attorney General's Office, the Congressional Research Service, the American Bar Association, and Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia. They all say the convention can be limited. And I trust you to say that we must act now. President Eisenhower said, through their state legislatures and without regard to the federal government, the people can demand a convention to propose amendments that can and will reverse any trends they see as fatal to true representative government. All across America, hundreds of state legislators, just like yourselves, are standing up to do just that, because nobody else will do it. Mr. Chairman and committee members, you are witnesses to history being made in this country, right here. You are seeing the birth of a nationwide movement to use the power of the Constitution to correct the course of our nation and restore our sovereign rights of self-determination and self-governance back to the states and to the people. HJR 146 is vital to that. My home for the past 24 years is the tiny town of Fort Davis, out in far west Texas. And when I first moved out there, I worked on one of the big cattle ranches, and I loved that job. But I started seeing how the internet was going to be so important to rural Texas, and especially to the school kids in rural Texas. And so I founded a company that brought the internet to the Big Bend. Not because I had any background in technology, because I didn't, but because nobody else would do it. That's what Texans do. And that's what we've got to do together. We've got to fix this country's system of political corrupting money, because it needs to be done, and Washington isn't going to do it. We can't wait for Washington to grow a conscience. We've got to roll up our sleeves and do it together. The great state of Texas can and should lead the nation in this movement. We do big things. That's who we are. History will remember those who rise today to save our republic. So please pass HJR 146 and be counted among them. Thank you for being leaders in restoring free and fair elections in this country.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a second. Todd, we appreciate it. I know you've been down several times in preparation for the meeting that we didn't have last time, and so we appreciate you coming back today. And it's interesting, we had Mr. Malone did such a great job with his testimony.
Yes.
And then yourself. And can you tell us the name of the individual? I think he was a senatorial candidate from New Hampshire that came down and spent 2 days
Yes, sir.
to testify for that committee last go.
Yes. Jim Rubens, former senator, state senator from New Hampshire. We had him down as an expert witness last week. Unfortunately, he couldn't return tonight. He was also a 2014 GOP candidate for U.S. Senate. He ran against what some people might call the Wall Street candidate and was unsuccessful. But he's a really great guy and put up a good fight, and he had a lot of good things to say. And I know he sends his apologies that he's not here to testify. He had some good stuff to say.
Well, thank you. And that shows the importance and the broad support of this legislation. So
it does. Thank you, sir.
Chairman.
Great, thank you. Members, any other questions? Todd, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for all the times you've come by the office and visited as well.
Thank you.
Chair calls Mike Cornwell.
Good evening, Chairman King. My name is Mike Conwell. I'm here to represent myself, asking you to vote for HJR 146. I had a lot of great ideas about 12 hours ago, so I'll just keep this. I'll keep this very brief. I look forward to y'all supporting the bill and sending a Texas delegation to get our voice heard and addressing problems with our elections. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Thank you, Mr. Cornwell.
Okay, thank you.
Chair calls Wesley Talbot.
Good evening. My name is Wesley Talbot, and I'm here representing myself, and I'm here today to support HJR 146, the Free and Fair Elections Resolution. I moved to Texas about 5 years ago, and I've lived in Louisville for the past 3. I was enlisted in the U.S. Air National Guard for 6 years, eventually deploying during Operation Iraqi Freedom, but I'm now extremely concerned that the nation I passionately served and defended no longer represents me at the federal level. My concern with the corruption of the federal government is severe, but I have full faith in the ability of the state legislatures, and specifically that of the state legislature of Texas, to correct it. And HJR 146 is our chance to do just that. I'd like to tell you about a soldier named Joseph Strong. I've never met Joseph, and I'll never have that chance, because Joseph, along with thousands of other U.S. service members, died fighting in the Iraq War. It was January 26, 2005. Iraqis were voting, many of them for the very first time in their lives. At that time in Iraq, voting was an act of pure bravery. Despite the risks, the Iraqi people went to the polls, casting their votes. I think we can all remember that feeling of pride we in America felt upon seeing all those triumphant Iraqi citizens raising their purple-stained fingers into the air to proudly and defiantly show the world that they had voted. Our nation's sacrifices were bearing the fruits of freedom. Those elections were possible because of Joseph Strong and all of the other U.S. service members whose mission that day was to protect Iraq's polling stations from imminent attacks. Members of armed forces don't join for the sake of risking our lives. We do so despite that risk, knowing that we might have to make the ultimate sacrifice for this great country. Joseph Strong made the ultimate sacrifice when he was killed during a polling station attack that day. He died serving for us, for all of us, for my family, for his friends, for me, and for you here on this committee. I only heard Joseph's story because of a Republican state representative from another state named Vicki Strong, his mother. She shared her son's story on the House floor just before casting her vote in favor of a resolution similar to HJR 146. I'd actually like to borrow her exact words because they're so powerful and authentic. She says, "That fight for their democracy cost my family a lot, and it cost the world a lot, but democracy is hard, and it's messy. Thankfully, our founding fathers came up with the most brilliant way for us as Americans to enjoy the fruits of freedom and to continue to fight for it. They knew that people can become corrupt and that human nature can become corrupt, so they crafted the most brilliant plan for our country to hold on to that hard-fought battle for democracy. And today, people are still fighting that battle, both overseas and here in this country." She went on to say, "My son didn't go over to Iraq to fight for freedom, and then we're not going to have freedom and democracy in this country. I'm proud to say that just like many members of my family, I too have helped defend this country and our freedoms while serving in the military. And I'm proud to have done so alongside people like Joseph Strong, and I will continue defending our freedoms now as a citizen. If you're trying to decide whether this resolution is worth supporting, take a moment and think about how much our democracy has already cost us. Think of the time, resources, and most of all, the lives that have been sacrificed in defending this democracy. This resolution gives us the opportunity to make our country a more perfect union. A vote for this resolution is a patriotic vote, and one that will preserve our great democracy for future generations. Voting for this resolution ensures that the ultimate authority and power entrusted to the government is derived solely from the people. Thank you for letting me share my story, and please vote yes on HJR 146.
Very good. Members, any questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to say it again. I'm just excited about all the young people that are here tonight testifying and being engaged.
Thank you.
So I want to commend you, man, and to you as well. Keep the faith, keep the fight, because that's what democracy needs, younger folks in the fight right now. So great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I concur with Representative Miles 100% and very much enjoyed our visit earlier today and appreciate your service to the country. So thank you very much. He's my constituent.
See, they already know you guys are for these things. It's us that they feel like they have to convince. So. Members, well, already gone. Good. Chair calls Gary Bro. Thank you for being here and staying so late.
Yes, hi, my name is Gary Bro, and I am for HJR 146. I don't need to testify, though. Okay. Somebody else will.
Are you representing yourself tonight?
I'm representing myself.
All right. And you don't wish to testify?
I don't wish to testify.
That's very good. Thank you for being here, and we will show your position on the bill in the record. Chair calls Carrie League. Carrie, are you still with us? Great. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for being here. Hi, my name is Carrie Lee. I'm speaking as a private citizen in favor of HJR 146. I am a business owner. I own the Alamo Drafthouse Cinema, which is a theater chain based here in Texas. We currently have 21 theaters, 16 of them in Texas. As such, our business is responsible for the employment of more than 3,000, mostly young people. I'm also a mother with 2 small girls. I'm desperately concerned about this condition of our federal government and what it means for the future of my daughters and the future of all the young people who we employ, who I can tell you are disillusioned with the system to the point not just of apathy, but to the loss of their patriotism. I'd like to speak today not only about the need for HJR 146 and removing the corrupting influence of money from politics, but about the importance of the Article 5 movement itself. The Convention of the States is a very powerful tool that has been left untouched on the workbench for far too long. Article 5 was a prescient safety valve created by a group of men who were very familiar with the history of large governments failing under their own weight of unchecked power. That is what's happening with our own government. Recently, this committee has passed convention resolutions for a balanced budget amendment, so I know that you are supportive of the Article 5 process. We need to have that conversation for a balanced budget to save this country. There's no question about it. We need a balanced budget. But without this companion resolution to fix the purchase of political influence, that budget that we will get will be dictated by deep pocket donors at the expense of the national interest. We will not be able to hold our national government accountable if they're not responsive to the will of the people. That is why we need to pass HJR 146. Like the atrocious deficit, debt, and runaway spending, the growing requirement for even the most well-intentioned politicians to court big money donors is deplored by voters on both sides. Bipartisanship is the key. The people of this country need for partisan bickering to be put aside so that we can work together to save this democracy. Sometimes it seems that the whole country has forgotten that united we stand, divided we fall. An Article 5 convention for free and fair elections is a golden opportunity to stand united, red states and blue states together, and show the federal government how to get things done. Please vote yes on HJR 146. Thank you.
Good. Members, any questions?
Very good testimony. Thank you for being
very good. Thank you for being here, and congratulations on the success of your business as well.
Absolutely.
Members, is there anyone else wishes to testify on, for, or against HJR 146? We have 4 people that have registered against the bill but do not wish to testify, and 30 who have registered for that do not wish to testify. And with that, the chair calls Representative Pena to close.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, committee members. I do not stand before you today as a Republican or a Democrat. Today I stand before you as a representative of the people of my district, the people of Texas, and the people of the United States. This resolution does not call for public financing of every campaign, and it does not call for taking money completely out of politics. It just calls for a convention to discuss the issue at the national level. We have an opportunity to change history, and I would ask that you give this resolution a favorable vote out of committee so that we can put it to a vote on the floor. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. Chair withdraws the substitute. Oh, I'm sorry, Representative Miles.
I know it's getting late. Brother Pena, I want to say this is your first session.
Yes.
But if you keep employing and engaging these young guys like you're doing, you're going to have a heck of a career in front of you, brother, because that's the future right there. So great job.
Well, thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Chair withdraws the substitute for HJR 146, and we'll leave it pending at this time. Thank you for being here.
Thanks.